What's up, everybody? I'm Jason. This is Freeburg Garage, and we are back on the final maintenance on this Harley-Davidson 1200 S from 1998. Adam's bike. It's been on the last couple videos doing LEDs, front and rear, looking fantastic. But now we are doing the final piece, which is on the order to do, and that is the oil change before it leaves the garage. Got some things I want to dive into, show you a proper how-to on this oil change. Let's get it done. All right, changing the oil. There are so many different options out there, but there's really only just two to choose from here in my garage. Now, what Adam went with, which he chose, was some Harley oil 20W50 and a black Harley oil filter right there. And this is what I normally go with, which is just some hard drive V-twin 2050 right there, and a high flow filter right there. If you ever seen one of those before, they're like the standard commodity filters that you can buy at pretty much Amazon and anywhere online. I actually wanted to dive in and figure out what were the differences of getting these oil changes done. Both conventional, non-synthetic, straight across the board, so they should be generally pairing up about the same. Now everyone has their die-hard choice of oils, so you do as you're choosing, but in my garage, this is just what I have, and I wanted to compare what's out there, and particularly everyone seems to attack the Harley oil just because of it's Harley, and there's other brands out there. There's nothing wrong with that. This is not to say one is better than the other, just a comparison of what's the difference. Now, I did a little research, and it's kind of hard to find on branded oil about where they come from, but on Harleys, what I could find, it is actually made by Citgo. If someone out there wants to tell me something different, there's only about 4 companies out there that make oil production, but Citgo does the production and mixing of that. I'm sure there's something else down the line of mixing and name branding, but they are the main producers of the fossil fuel going into that. So if you're wondering who makes yours, Citgo is your choice behind the backing of Harley-Davidson oil. Now, their oil filter. Generally, you can go on the specs and you can go in there and find them on Amazon, all that stuff. And I used to work in a parts store, and there used to be all those on all the different brands that get you really into what your filtration is going to be like in the inside, right? So how many microns and all that good stuff, more mesh, more filters, more stuff to grab. That also means that you need to change it more. Just because it grabs more doesn't mean you get to ride it longer. You actually want to change it more because it's clogging. Just like any type of air filter that has high microns in their fibers to grab, you're going to need to change it because you're going to suffocate itself pretty well. And then once that's done with the oil filter, bad news on that motor. So, who makes Harley-Davidson filters? Wix. That's what I can find. Wix is who actually makes their filters, which is a pretty sweet brand to go with. Wix is a pretty standard. I really am a big fan of them. So if you're looking for a filter that's made by Harley and want to know about it, it's by Wix, as far as I can find. All right, the next one we have up is our hard drive 20W50 motorcycle oil. Who makes this stuff? Couldn't find out. I actually did enough research. There's nowhere indication of where this stuff is made. I didn't do enough phone calls and dig through enough paperwork to find the actual source. My guess is that when it comes to name branding, like house brand is what we would call this at the parts store, is there's a lot of different, oil companies that are producing these, and whoever gets the cheapest bid is probably what's being labeled over this. Citgo is one. ExxonMobil is usually not one because they're more of the high end when it comes to getting your own house brand. Citgo is typically on there as like your Kroger to Chips type deal if we want to pick. But that's who makes, I believe this one is probably going to be Citgo. But on the back it does say it is blended in the USA of domestic and imported components, whatever that means. But it all meets standards, it says online, for what you're looking for. It's gonna do the job. That right there is gonna do the job, okay? All right, now our oil filter. This isn't a hard drive oil filter. I believe they possibly make them. This is just one brand that I was always turned on by my local dealer there, and high flow filter, whatever that really means. This is from Europe though. This is destination Europe, which is pretty cool. Europe makes good stuff. I was expecting Taiwan, China, but when I looked up to it, this is from Europe. So if they're making anything in Europe, it should be generally pretty good too, I would assume. Now, between the two, pulling them out, let's take a look, okay? From the face, sealed up package so nothing gets in there. A nice little nut on the top there so we can use a socket to remove it. Makes it very nice to take off. And then our Harley oil filter. Let's open it up, see what we got here. Blank, nothing. It's actually how Wix filters come, so that's why I know also that it is probably a Wix. Stand up, standard, nothing fancy to protect it. Cheap, protected, non-cheap. You choose, right? So, one better than the other, it's up to you. My opinion, whatever gets the job done and what you just feel comfortable after getting it all finished, that you can drive down the road. All right, so the final piece between the two, what do they cost? And oddly enough, there's actually a huge difference. Now, I didn't tell Adam to choose which one or the other. This is just by looking them up and by blind buying. That's just $20 a quart. This is $10 a quart. $8. I believe the range is anywhere between 15 to 20 bucks. So, double. It's literally what that is. It's double what you're buying through the Harley. Bad or good, leave it up to you. If you like to go specifically by your brand, there's nothing wrong with that. That's what that's made for. And you can comfortably know it's gonna be safe. You take the risk by going aftermarket because they change brands all the time behind the label. I've even seen hard drive change different branding, all that stuff, so you know that whoever produced it is just different oils behind it. So you take a different risk. Now, have I had a problem with either or? No. As long as you were changing your oil every 5,000, or I think it goes like 1,000, 5,000, 10,000, 15,000 by Harley-Davidson standards on there, then you're gonna be fine. Or if you're doing it regularly every spring, or some do it right before wintertime, if you ride it a lot, you know, during the cold, then you're gonna wanna change it more frequently. Just be on top of your oil change. Just that's all you gotta do. Just be on top. You don't have to worry about this. All right? That's the breakdown of what we're doing to change the oil. Let's jump on the bike. Let's get done. 101 rule of getting your bike ready for oil change. You gotta get yourself a good lift, or just a lift in general. And I don't mean that big old lift. I mean a scissor lift is just fine. Hydraulic, perfect. You gotta get the bike perpendicular. If you don't have that type of money you wanna spend on, go down to this. A little scissor lift. That works too. But even if you have the big lift, you need some kind of scissor lift to be able to get it up straight. So we are using my scissor hydraulic lift to make sure that the bike is nice and perpendicular so that oil flows like the river right there. All right, so we are all set up there. Let's get it taken apart. All right, we need to get the motor warmed up so we can get that oil to drop nicely. Let's get started. Warmed up, ready to drop the oil. Now, this is probably one of the easiest ways that Harley has made it to drop your oil. FXR's total nightmare trying to get the drain plug and all that stuff out. Just gets everywhere. This nice clear area, bam, drop it right down, you're good to go. All right, we gotta get a little worm screw pulled apart, and this hose should come right off. Also, if you're in a hurry, if you just pop the oil cap here, let it vent, it will drop the oil even faster. Let's see the difference here. See, it speeds it up a little bit. So if you're in a rush, do that too. Going from the best design oil drop down to the worst design oil filter drop, all right? This is not the greatest way to remove as far as not getting oil everywhere, but that's all right. We got rags, we'll clean it up afterwards. Just get it loose up and get it off. And they do make fancy tools to remove these so that you don't get it everywhere. But we won't need to worry too much. There we go. And you can use like a plastic piece. It just didn't really have anything, so I'm just gonna clean it up as need be. Hopefully you don't got too much. Okay, freed up there, and let the mess commence. All right, all drained there. We just gotta clean up our area now. Get rid of our rag. Put that aside. And get all the crevice area all wiped down. New oil filter going on. What I want to do is put about 4 ounces of fresh new oil in the filter. There we go. All set. Now get a little bit of that fresh oil on the lip here. Make sure that all gaskets from the old oil filter have been removed, not sticking out of there. That'll give you a nice bad time of blasting oil outside your filter, doubling up like that. Seen it happen. So we'll throw this on now. Get it nice, snug down. Don't need an oil filter wrench to reef on it, just to a point where it's good and snug down, hand tight. Okay. I like it there. All right, let's get the oil dropped in the bike now. All right, so filling up, we have roughly about 3 quarts oil that need to go back in. There's oil still in the motor that just doesn't completely drain out. If you want, you can pop the oil filter off and the drain plug and then run the motor, push really a lot of it out. Last little bit, but we're not gonna do that. That's just not necessary for this. If we're consistently changing oil, you don't need to do that. But if you don't know what the bike has before, I might suggest to do that. All right, so we're gonna fill this up, then we're gonna end up running the bike and see where we land. That's 2.5 there. Let's see where that goes. All right. So we are right in the middle of the 2 indicators right there. We're gonna run the bike, see where it lands. All right, let's check the level. All right, so it did drop. Still between the lines. I'm gonna add a little bit more. Should be good. All right, let's check it there. All right, let's check our final level. Perfect. Right there. Love it. All right, exactly where it needs to be. 3 quarts on the money to get that replaced. All right, so we're gonna clean up everything around it, get the final look around. Bam! Oil change complete. That's pretty much down to the specs of the manual. The only thing I did not mention is it does say check for that oil light to come off to make sure that's good. It's just a dummy light to make sure that you put enough oil in your bike. But for now, guys, that about wraps for me on this one. I would greatly appreciate if you could hit the subscribe button, tap that like, press the notification, leave a comment below and tell what you think. And for those that have already subscribed, thank you. And as always, stay free. I'll catch you guys later. Peace.